as somebody who grew up on a horse farm and who grew up riding, who grew up doing all that
Oh
stuff.
boy.
Oh, she
We got the
knows.
woman
Yeah.
bona
But when a
fide.
horse
Michigan
is
is
coming
known for
out
their
and a
horse
horse
farm.
is an over 1,000-pound animal and they're coming out of the gate and they get slammed the way in which he got slammed. This wasn't just a light bump. This was a slam and a carry. He was still carried between horses for the first few strides out of the gate. And then on top of it, he hasn't run since November in the Breeders' Cup. That gives him all the legitimate excuse that I need. Now, the thing is, which I will agree with you on, is he is a horse that I do not think if something similar happens, it's going to be problematic. But I do still think he is the best horse in the race. I love that he drew outside of the other speed. I think it's going to be very beneficial for him to start from post 17, get out there. He's got plenty of time. He is not a need the lead type. He's come from sitting off before, as he did in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I think he just needs to sit tight, stay out of trouble, which is what he will do. And he's got plenty of pedigree to go the mile and quarter distance. So I'm not even...
So you don't believe in the 17 curse?
I think the whole like post position stuff is bunk, because you have to take into consideration so many different variables. Like, for example, how many times in any given post has there been a horse who was 5-1 or under? I mean, there's too many other factors that go into a good or not good post position based upon the statistics that they give you. But as far, again, as the pedigree goes, I mean, like, my gosh, you're looking at a horse here who was actually, homebred for Micropoli. So I kind of love that for him because it makes it extra special, I'm sure. And so by City of Light, we know what City of Light did, winning the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, the Pegasus World Cup. Stay Thirsty is the broodmare sire. He won the Travers, as did his own sire, Bernardini. Bernardini is by AP Indy, won the Belmont, the Classic, the Granny. Oh, by the way, the mom's half-sister to Outwork. Should mention that one, the Wood Memorial. The Granny Nona Mia, Empire Maker. That is stamina all day long right there. She's also a 3/4 sister to Cairo Prince. Not only did he have the bad start in the Holy Bull, he had a bad start in the Champagne. I take those two races out. He's the top pick. Next horse, yes, Sierra Leone. I know I'm like chalking in the top two positions, but to Alexa's point, he does overcome adversity. He is going to come with a run. He has a little bit of a wonky action, but I think it works for him. He's got a little bit of an egg beater situation going on. But again, some people think might be why he's a little erratic and stretched. I don't think that's so much it. I think he just has so much impulsion from the hindquarters that it just throws him forward. And so he gets really into his races because of that. It's going to be a lot different to come back from where he likes to come back from what he's done so far versus a 20-horse field. But I think he's a big enough and talented horse to do that. And Gaff Leone did say that he hasn't even cranked him up all the way. I then went with Catching Freedom. Watch the Louisiana Derby. If you want a closer, because I do think we're going to have a fast pace, I do think it's going to set up for a horse like this. He came so wide around the turn for home, and then he took some bumping action from the horse to his inside, and then he kicked on, and he didn't even get to change his lead right away because of that bumping that had happened. And once he did, my gosh, the acceleration on that horse was so impressive. So
Catching Freedom's underrated. I will agree with
Catching
you on that.
Freedom, I think, and like you're by Constitution, that's another really hot sire line. That's another AP Indy line sire. So I like him a lot. Then I went with Honor Marie. He's another horse that has really good closing kick. He's already got the win over the surface. And when you look back at, let me see here, Honor Marie, when he came back in the Risen Star, this was a horse who needed a race. Not only had he not run since November, but the track was sloppy sealed. And then he came back in the Louisiana Derby and he ran really well. Get beat just a length there by Catching Freedom. And again, he's already got a win over the Churchill track. And I think he's got plenty enough pedigree, obviously being by honor code to get the mile and quarter. So I am not worried about it from that perspective either. And then the alternate, I vacillated. I went between Forever Young. I kind of think I kind of think Domestic Product's a little bit of a grinder. His figures, he'd have to improve like significantly, but I could see him sort of grinding his way into, the top 4 or 5. And also Mystic Dan. That is Matt's horse. Matt is all like, you tell them Mystic Dan's going to win the Kentucky Derby. All right. So, I mean, I could see any of those horses. I did ultimately land on the Japanese horse, Forever Young. He's done nothing wrong so far. You could make the argument, well, who has he beaten? You know, comparison. Bookham Dano's a very nice horse, sprinter, but a very nice horse here from stateside. So we'll see what he can do. But the interesting thing is, and we've talked about this on our show before as well, Forever Young and Sierra Leone, they're out of 3/4 sisters. So that's a fun little tidbit there. And then, you know, I just like stuff like that.
I just like things.
Stuff. Okay.
No, that was a great explanation. That's why we love having you on as the pet geek. So yeah, I mean, can't argue with much of what you said.
Another fun fact?
I'm kind of with Matt.
Ranmo the First,
Yes.
his mom, and Leslie Rose's mom, Leslie's Roses in the Oaks, they're half sisters.
You gotta hit that double then, right?